Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And we are SP Film Viewers.
Happy 50th episode.
We've been doing it that long already. 50?
I know, crazy, right? Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
In a good way, I hope.
People must think they do not have, like, the most boring lives. All they do is watch films. But, well, what else can you do, really, right now, to be fair? I love it, though. I've literally come consumed with it, so I hope everyone's enjoying it as much as we are, because...
Yeah, we do very much hope that people do get something out of this, at the very least, even if it's not massive numbers. We have a lot of fun doing these recordings, especially getting you to give your thoughts
100%.
and feelings on these.
I also think it's the best conversations we have. You have to actually sit and look at me and talk to me for like an hour. Sometimes that doesn't happen. His phone has to go away, like 100% quality time here.
So, as I mentioned in our last episode, which you should go and check out, thank you please, we started this podcast journey with an anime, and now 50 episodes on, we're at another anime film. We seem to do quite a few on this channel, more than I thought, but I do enjoy watching them. And
yeah, you really do enjoy that. I didn't realise how much I'd actually love anime. I didn't think I was that kind of person, to be honest. I love the artwork, but I didn't think I'd want the subtitles. I thought I would be one of those girls that would want the dub kind of English over it, but now I've seemed to have the original voice casting and everything like that, which is strange because I would never be like that. So thank you, Paul, for educating me a little bit.
You're welcome. And this time we're going to be talking about Tokyo Godfathers, the 2003 film directed by Satoshi Kon. Now, the only other film I've seen of his was called Paprika, and that was a long time ago I saw that, so it's on the watch list in the future, I think, to rewatch.
I was going to say, I don't think that doesn't ring a bell to me that I've seen that.
No.
Is that like the herb, like the spice paprika? I've got this really, really cute paprika bottle in my head and thinking it's something to do with
it's
cooking.
All to do with... Well, I can't even... I wish I could explain it really, but I can't remember. Wouldn't be doing it justice of trying to explain what it was about, but it's not a little inanimate object brought to life. It's to do with humans.
Okay. So, well, definitely something to look into for the future then, for sure. So, going to the theme of Christmas and it being our third episode of Christmas, and then obviously we've only got one more after that, which really devastates me because I feel like this one for me is not as Christmassy as I'd have hoped. I really didn't know what to expect.
No, nor did I really.
It's with the title The Godfather, the Tokyo Godfather. I think that's what got in my head a little bit too much. Like, I was thinking there was going to be a mafia. I was like,
there sort of was, loosely,
but it wasn't like the main
drive of the story. No.
Yeah, so I was thinking of
gang wars type thing.
Yeah, I guess I was, but then I was thinking, how are they going to do this in an anime style? So it got that.
If they did, they'd probably do it really over the top with like guns and super like slow-mo going on stuff.
It probably would. But the silver lining of Christmas, I think, was like a little flurry of snow for me. I don't feel like there was enough Christmas impact. You probably could get away with watching it at any point of the year, I feel.
I don't think you could, to be honest. I think it is an unconventional Christmas story. It is set at Christmas, And there are...
Don't start this now. Come on, give
No,
over.
no. But it is, though.
Oh,
It's clearly defined as that. It's set around Christmas time.
I'm going to ignore you.
There's snow on the ground. There's lights up and everything, and it's all very much in the atmosphere of the setting of Christmas time.
And just like which... Go on, you have to say it. Just like what movie?
Just like Die Hard.
Urgh. It's not a Christmas film.
As I said before, half the internet will disagree with you.
And half of the internet would agree with me then, if only half disagree with me.
Or maybe more, I don't know.
It's like Marmite, this is, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
Literally
one of those... It's going to be one of those time...
I think it's people who hate Christmas that just want to see people getting shot and killed, want to watch it and class it as a Christmas film because they're sick and twisted. This is obviously, this Tokyo Godfather is a lot better, by the way, just so it's not in that par. It doesn't get me that aggravated.
Okay. But it being unconventional, it's shockingly quite violent for its rating of 12, which I found quite odd.
It baffles me a little bit, this one does. I'm a bit, like, lost for words. Like, I even said to you, I was, like, struggling to write things down of what we could talk about because it was, like, I just really don't know what I've just watched. Not in a bad way, but I've just never seen anything like that, I guess. For me, personally, there was, like, a lot of action, like you're saying, a lot of... For an anime, I'm thinking of, a pretty schoolgirl in, like, socks and skirt.
High school, like most animes.
And, you know, it's all quite... what is it? Kawaii. And it's fluffy and light, and this wasn't. It had a bit of a gritty, grungy feel.
Yeah. Showing, like, mainly focusing on these three homeless characters we've got who are our protagonists in the story. I mean, when we went to Japan, they're kind of not really they're not out in the open, so to speak,
I think
these
I
homeless
actually
people,
saw one of the whole time that we were there for 2 weeks. And I think it was more on the later end of our trip.
Right.
When we went to Shibuya?
Yeah.
I believe it was like outside, near enough, not far from our hotel. And it was on a really, really late night, actually. And believe it or not, it was near some rubbish. Which quite links a lot closely to the film that they're saying at the moment, weren't they? That homeless people, they say they're feeling like human trash. Basically.
Yeah.
They feel worthless. And I feel like this is a good moral to have the three homeless people, because it did make me feel very grateful for what I've got. It kind of puts your life into perspective a little bit. And I think that's what Christmas is a bit of a meaning for. And I think with the meaning and the message, it was Christmassy. But it was just a lot of other bits which made it feel like you could just have a general story as well. Yeah. Which makes it not its main focus.
If it wasn't set at Christmas, it could be done at any point and just be just an anime based solely around that. But it just happened to be set around Christmas time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just like Die Hard. It could just be a film on its own, shooting people and climbing up, what's it called now? Air shafts, or is it air shafts? What is it? He's in a...
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, same thing, just because it's based around Christmas. And I think this is what this is. But this does have a good message. I don't really know what Die Hard's nice Christmas message is. If anybody does know it, just leave us a comment, explain it to me.
Stopping terrorists.
Yeah, and...
Merry Christmas.
That's not Christmassy, is it?
Anyway, our three lead characters are Miyuki, who's the runaway teen, the youngest.
Yep. I'm so glad you're doing this and not me.
We have Jin, who's like the bearded elderly one.
Old geezer.
Old geezer is called, as Miyuki calls him.
I think it sounds really strange that they even know what that is. I thought that was like more like an old Yorkshire thing, like, I don't know, I didn't really know.
That might just been the subtitle translation, but...
Possibly. Yeah. It did seem a bit bizarre to me, that did.
And the other one, which is probably the most interesting character of the lot, because I was looking back on the back of the box, I wasn't really sure. I assumed it was a woman. But obviously then when it starts talking and acting, and especially when using the terminology he uses, it is a transvestite character.
Yeah, it's really, really different, actually. Something that you wouldn't
I've
expect.
not seen that before.
I actually really thought she was one of my favourite characters, actually. I know it's a he, but she was portrayed to me as a she.
Right, okay.
So no, I didn't know she was going to be more. I think she more would want to be.
So you're going to refer to her as a she then?
I feel like she was a she, and I feel
Right.
like that's what she would want to be. She was called
Hannah.
Hannah as well.
Yeah,
so
sorry, I didn't say that.
That has a female name to it. She dressed like a female throughout.
Yeah, although Miyuki calls her or him Uncle Bag.
Yeah, which I think is really strange because actually, really, to be fair, I know she's a transvestite, but I feel like she's more comfortable being a woman. So I think it's more like
He's more.
Yeah, to me, she is, even though it's one of those kind of things where they're in that transition.
Yeah.
Where he is a man, but she is becoming a woman. Okay. In my opinion. So to me, yes, I will be referring to her as a she throughout this because
to try not to confuse the listeners, but yeah,
is a female character really. Okay. The way that she's portrayed is more female, as you can see throughout the film, and I hope that the listeners agree with me on this one because it is the way that she's portrayed more predominantly female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's more than one time so he does get quite emotional with
yeah.
And that's one of the things that's quite good about this film because the expressions of all three of them are quite expressive.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to find a point on it, but it's very entertaining. There was genuine. I'd like chuckled quite a few times with the way that they came across with just facial expressions,
especially when they were angry. It's more when they were annoyed at one another.
Yeah.
And you could feel like this little bit of a family community was coming together. So you had Hannah, who's your mum kind of character.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to be referring to her as a she.
Okay.
You've got Jin, who is your drunken dad, basically. And then I can't pronounce her name, so what is it?
Miyuki is the daughter.
Please apologise in advance if I try and refer to her and I say it incorrectly. But yeah, she's her daughter, like the teenage daughter.
And while they're scouring the trash cans and everything for stuff to eat and drink and all that kind of stuff, they come across an abandoned child in amongst all that.
I don't know who would ever abandon a child. I feel like it must be something where you get to a really, really low point in your life where you're struggling financially to afford something. Even with dogs and cats, I know this sounds really daft. I couldn't, even if...
No, I couldn't.
I'd rather give the cat the last tin of tuna or something and look after it as best as I could, or give it a good home.
Yeah, that's definitely there are options. You should not just go take the very, very easy way out and just go, right, just put it in the bin.
Well, I think it's your conscience as well. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
That would be playing on the back of you constantly, and you would never have a decent night's sleep because your conscience would
eat away at you.
It would, 100%. And I think this is where this moral of the story kind of comes. And it underwraps quite weirdly to how I even anticipated, to be honest. I didn't think the ending, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect it, let's just say the least.
Yeah, it's a twist.
Sophie doesn't like a twist.
Yeah, so we'll get to that as for the spoiler part of this. But
so I want to know what your thoughts are, because I think you're going to probably want to like this a lot more. I really enjoyed it for what it was. Did I feel like I was excited for Christmas, or if Santa was going to come down my chimney? Like Noel?
It's definitely not one of those type of Christmas films.
If anything, it made me feel more humble and more grateful, I think. The message was really, really, really strong. So it made you realise that, obviously these homeless people, whoever you are and whatever you're doing, even if you think you're the lowest of the low and you think you're trash, you're really not, and you can always be better than you were the next day. And I think that's 100% true. It's 1% better in themselves every day, and I think that's what they got to when they had a purpose, and that was this little baby
to try and find who it belongs to. And the story is really that journey of with these very minor clues that they've got bundled in with the baby to try and figure out, right, whereabouts is she from, and how can we get her safely there, and just generally taking care of her as best they can.
Even though, to be fair, bless them, they don't have any money. They're struggling to kind of even
fend
survive.
for themselves as it is, yeah. But Hannah is quite happy about this because he's never had he would never be able to have the opportunity to really truly be a mother, birthing one because of his gender, and so he gets this opportunity to become a mother essentially. Yeah, so he's quite happy about that and quite attached almost immediately in a sense.
Yeah, she takes on that role of wanting to be the mother towards the new baby, and it's a case of it is the chance that she'll never have got in her entire life, and she really takes that as a God has kind of, this is where the religious side of things comes into it, where God is kind of giving her a sign.
Exactly. There is an important thing to note at the very beginning. It sort of starts off with the whole thing of showing like the nativity scene, and also a choir singing Silent Night as well. Mm-hmm. So there's that whole Christianity aspect going on at the very start, which, I mean, I'm maybe playing ignorant here, but I didn't know that was quite potentially a strong thing that was practiced in Japan. But
I'm not 100% sure, because I know when we went on our tours and stuff like that, it was more Buddhism and
Shintoism, I believe I'm saying it right. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, yeah.
I think that's correct, and I think it was a fine line between Buddhism and Shinto. It wasn't a case of, and sometimes some people would have different religions between the two, and it would blur a little bit, and they made their own kind of religion behind it. But I'm not sure how much Christianity religion was taught.
Yeah.
However, I did find something else a bit strange as well. It kind of fluttered a little bit in between different languages with this. So, like, there was a point where Hannah was singing The Sound of Music in English. So that was a bit strange for me, because I was like reading the subtitles and then there was no subtitles, and it threw me off a little bit. Because it's like, oh, I can understand that. Wait a minute, I'm confused. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, but then again, there was other bits where they were speaking English. Only a few instances, but there's still subtitles on the bottom, which I don't know if that's just how the disc was playing it on that.
Do you know I was still reading them as well? Is that
no, so was I, but it was kind of like, I know what you're saying, but yeah, it's been said, and it was like, thank you very much or something like that, but
I was like, because I'm just, sometimes I feel like it's a thing in your head when you're watching anything with subtitles.
Yeah.
Like a button has to switch on and you just automatically reading and you don't realise you're doing it anymore.
Exactly.
Beginning, I know I am.
I feel like that's always the case when any subtitle film, really. But then eventually you kind of just automatically tune into it, in a sense.
100%. And I think that's something that's really good about these films, is that it does do that. It wasn't too fast either with the pace of
No, with reading everything, no, it wasn't too...
Because I'm a bit of a slow reader, so it's like, if it goes too fast or if the content of the conversation is too quick...
It's speaking really fast and I can't keep up.
I can't keep up. So sometimes I struggle to write down notes at the same time as read. I can't multitask, and I should be able to.
No, we did have to pause a couple... Even I did pause in a couple of times. Sorry, all right, just make that note, because I don't want to miss anything that's coming up next. There was... Also, I would say, when you're on about languages again, I presume you're also referring to the part where there's like a Latin American character.
I didn't have a clue.
I kind of sort of picked up on, I'm guessing it sounded like a Spanish tone to the voice, but there was no subtitles on the part, weirdly.
So I don't know if it's one of those things where you're not meant to know what he's saying, but because we've had subtitles all the way through, it felt a bit strange, whereas I think if you'd have watched it in English and not had it, and then there wasn't any subtitles, it wouldn't have been a problem. But because we had subtitles, I felt like I should know what he was saying, I guess.
Possibly.
But I feel like the contents of it was kind of a little bit already portrayed, and you kind of could see from the story and the visuals.
Exactly, yeah, you didn't really need to know exactly, and it was only a minor part of the story. But, yeah, you kind of, for what it was in context with, you kind of got the gist of it just by the visuals alone. So.
Yeah, you really did.
Yeah.
I feel like you do get a really good relationship with the three main characters. You kind of see them being selfish.
Yeah.
Which is a really horrible flaw, but you do get to see that. But you get to see them growing out of that, really.
Yeah, they have their own backstories on how
Mhm.
they've come to be in this way, I guess, really.
Yeah, even though you get to hear a couple of different stories from Jin.
Especially, yeah.
I think he's probably my least favourite. I feel like he doesn't redeem himself as much as he could. Maybe that's because he's a man, or if it's because actually he's just a little bit selfish and he's stuck in his ways. I feel he is. He doesn't want
Very
to
much.
change.
Yeah.
He likes his beer. He likes to have a good drink, and he used to gamble.
Yeah.
And I feel like I understand that anybody can actually lose everything, and it is quite sad, and they can get into that position. But he really played the victim character here.
Trying to make you feel sympathy for him.
And it worked at the beginning because you believed it, because why would you think he would lie? Until he does lie, and actually he says that his daughter was really poorly and ill, and she passed away because he couldn't afford the medical. Apparently he was a bicycle racer.
Yeah, all exaggerated stories.
I feel like he was manipulating this for him to kind of justify it to himself. I feel like that's how he was doing it, to make him think, oh, this is why I did it. I was so down in my luck, and my daughter's passed away, my wife's died afterwards, and none of that was true.
He meets her in the hospital when he's been taken in after having some
beaten up.
Yeah, no. So that comes to light. So Hannah's story is more, well, I feel it's genuine, the fact that he didn't have a mother growing up, he never knew her. So then his adopted mother is another transvestite who works at this club that he used to work at. So that's his unconventional family from working there.
I think she does have the more genuine story. Obviously, she does have a partner, and he is a he. And sadly, he passes away. You see the picture on the wall, and it is a he. So obviously, she is like the she in the relationship. And you can see that that's where it kind of spirals, where she had this relationship. Obviously, he's no longer with her, and then she struggled to, for whatever, keep her home, and she ends up being homeless. And I think she's got that little bit of pride of not wanting to go back to her kind of foster mum, so to speak, or adopted mum.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to let her down or anything like that. So I think that's more Hannah's story in this one. Then you've got
Miyuki, who's the runaway, as we said. And it wasn't immediately brought to light by that because we hadn't met the father or anything at this point. But there was an instance where she was saw somebody on the train when the trains are halted, which is quite an odd occurrence anyway. That would happen in Japan, because normally trains, unless it's absolutely deadly serious,
well,
the trains
it
do not
was
stop.
to do with the snow, wasn't it? So
yeah. But she spots on the other carriage, on the other line, somebody who's recognises her, and she's all skittish about it,
So I didn't know where her story was going to go with this one. I didn't know if she would have been abused as a younger child or something, for the reasons why somebody so young would run away from home. So it kind of comes apparent, if please correct me if I'm wrong. She had a cat called Angel.
Yeah, that was.
And the cat had gone missing, and she was upset with her father, and she actually stabbed her father.
That's right. Yeah. And this is all played out in a flashback. Yeah.
Because this cat's no longer around, or whatever reason, she stabs her father and then runs away, basically.
Yeah, because she can't face the fact of doing that to the dad who was a cop. So she's
like, I'm going to get put into jail or something like that. And I think it was just more out of upsetment, wasn't it, really? That this cat meant a lot to her. But I feel like she's one of my favourite characters in the end. Hannah is just a knockout in general. And I think you just like her from the get-go.
Yeah, she's definitely the most expressive.
Yes.
But I guess that's playing on the whole angle of what she is. So you can get away with that a bit more, especially, and say the animation plays that very strongly.
I love how they make her kind of look a little bit butch at some points, and then kind of the feminine comes out in her as well, the way she's walking with her hands.
The movements, they got that spot on.
I think they really must have enjoyed creating her. because it's one of those, not just a generic cliche, she's a really, really interesting character. Whereas I think Miyuki?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh. She develops throughout, I think, the most.
She does. And there was, because you always got that sense of I don't know if you clocked the fact that there was times when she was kind of like doing like a sniff, like, you know, like some, like I guess a little child would do, you know, like almost like having a snotty nose or anything like that. So she, you know, she's trying to play like the strong, independent, I don't need my parents or anything like that, I'm running away. But she says that's still that childlike innocence to her, despite all the attitude of everything.
Yeah, and I think at the end with the little baby, she actually seems to take on more of the responsibility with her. I think obviously because she is the actual female, and I think her female instincts kick in a little bit, and she looks after her, she changes his diaper. At one point I was thinking, oh yeah, she changes her diaper. I do think she also, I was wondering if it was going to stem to where, like the one about being able to feed the baby.
Yeah.
I didn't know how far that was going to go.
But it does go somewhere else, but it's not with her, it's with this other Latin American woman who's breastfeeding her own child, and then also breastfeeding this one when you find her in the alleyway or whatever it is, I think, just to feed the baby.
So it pans out, this does even more. It spirals into like not just the three homeless main characters and the baby, which is called
Kyoko, translates to Pure One, which kind of reflects on the fact of a gift from God as they see it, for so finding her in the trash. Also
linking to like the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
So going
Christmas
back to
miracle.
Yeah.
Which, funnily enough, I think that stems quite a lot throughout the film as well. These little Christmas miracles that happen. Is that what you want to call them? Not just miracles from God? Christmas magical miracles. Yeah. I still don't think it's Christmassy enough. I know Christmas is for giving and caring, and it is that, but it just didn't. I felt like there was a lot more drama going on for Christmas, and I guess in the real world that is true. So we do have a lot of little kind of blips where it's supernatural God kind of instincts, where like Hannah at the end is near enough falling off the building, somehow magically floats down. Yeah, we'll get to the spoiler part now, I suppose. Good time as any. But the other miracle part, I'd say, was there's a sequence where they're in a convenience store and they're told to get out, and then completely out of left field, this ambulance comes crashing into the shop just as they've sort of like they're out in the street. So all these people, you know, that were inside, including them and the baby, could have been seriously injured. Died. It's just the ambulance man, where then it's quite funny because he comes out of the ambulance and then says, "Somebody please call me an ambulance." And it's like, well, why were you driving so fast? I know that they can because they need to get places, but yeah, that did strike me as a bit odd as to what that was all about. But other than the fact that there was just a freak accident, but I think it's like an act of miracle they were trying to portray, like you said at the beginning. Yeah, they could have died if they hadn't moved. They haven't got her. Yeah. So the real twist of the story is really when they think they've reunited Kyoko with her mother. Yeah, so you kind of get this bit of a split where Jin kind of gets left behind on a couple of occasions. So one minute he doesn't want to help kind of find the parents for the baby, and then the other bit is when he meets his daughter in the hospital. So he's kind of on his own little path, and you've just got Hannah and Miyuki obviously trying to end the kind of chapter with the fact of the baby being able to be reunited with its parents, even though it further along as they investigate, they see that the parents aren't really good parents. There's a bit of a story that's kind of being grown, which is kind of relating a lot to Jin and his kind of relationships. So the father of the baby, he likes to gamble as well. He likes to drink. He's not Almost the same as him, yeah.
Literally like a younger resemblance of him. And then obviously the mother is kind of getting dragged down a little bit by his actions, and she's trying to do good by him. And we get to see the mother getting to a point of where it's, this man really is taking his toll on her, I feel. Like, she was at one point a really, really happy, probably, woman going about a day, and this man's kind of just dragged her into his deep...
Yeah, cesspool of drink and gambling addiction.
And kind of money problems and all of this, the house they had to move, and she's kind of got that toll on her, and I think he's not aware of how much of an impact he's done, so to speak.
But because of all this, she's gone to desperation mode of thinking, right, if I get a baby from somewhere, hospital is where she gets this baby from, that everything's going to be okay, there'll be a family, they'll be reunited, they'll be happy.
Also,
that sense of...
she was meant to have a baby, and obviously
she
that
lost it.
So
yeah.
She was hoping, like you said, that the baby that she did have would have helped her to get to that point. And at the moment, Hannah and Miyuki don't realise that this isn't her baby.
Yeah.
So actually they do stumble across her trying to commit suicide because of everything that's happened.
Yep.
And they catch her and they actually give her the baby, thinking it is actually she's the rightful mother.
Mm-hmm.
Which then obviously then spirals the story even more, because Jin ends up actually getting his stuff together and actually becoming a good character. And then we kind of get to a point of where all three of them again kind of trying to find the baby that they've just given, thinking they've given it to the mother.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously she's on the rooftop. They've kind of done like a cat and mouse kind of chase where they've been running after the not mother with the stolen baby. Up this kind of like, you know what Japan city's like. There's loads of steps and this is one tiny elevator. So she's taking the elevator and she's gone to the top of the roof. She's got the babies in her arm and it looks like she's going to try and commit suicide with the baby selfishly, who doesn't belong to her. You've got your policemen, you've got your helicopters, everybody's out and about witnessing this. There's been a lot of stuff on the news and it's a case of now everybody's wanting to know what's going to happen to this baby. Is it going to get reunited with its parents? Is it going to die because this woman has kind of gone beside herself a little bit?
But the main... what happens here is this other last miracle that you mentioned before was another tension building part with them all falling off, trying to catch one another. Hannah being the last one with Kyoku in hand, falling down. But thankfully there's another Christmas miracle where there's a gust of wind that blows this banner that he's hanging onto, and he manages to float down safely without any harm done to either of them. And shortly after that, the baby's also transitioned into being with their actual parents in the hospital, and everything's a-okay. They're all in the hospital after recovering from all that stuff, and two things happen at the end.
Yes,
where
the ending.
They're named, I guess where the title really comes from, is there being the fact the parents deciding to class them as Kyoku's godparents.
Yeah.
Godfathers.
So the Godfathers.
Even though this one of them is a girl, but yeah. Or another one if you, depending on how you look at it, two of them. And then the very last part is where Miyuki is reunited again with her father, who's come into the hospital, and
I think he's part of the... I don't know if he's part of the hospital or if he's
part of the investigation.
Investigation, because obviously he's a policeman. But I feel like that kind of ends really abruptly for me. I think that's a bit of a weird ending. I think I would have rather had that part earlier on in the story where she'd have met her father. Because you see a lot of it where she's trying to reach out again to him. He's put a little anagram in the paper saying that Angel's okay, she's at home, and all of that, trying to get his daughter back.
Yeah.
And I think he really does want his daughter at home. And I feel like that could have panned out a little bit earlier on, not saved till the end. And that actually I'd have been happy with the ending being the fact that you understood why the title was The Godfather, and that the baby was reunited and they were going to be the godparents, so to speak. I feel like I don't know if you agree with me or if I just don't like a weird ending. It just seemed a bit short and abrupt, the way that they just bunged that in at the end, and then there was just shocked faces and that was it.
I think that ended it nicely, really, with how it, like, leading to interpretation. You didn't need to be any more depth, like, no more to be happy about it or anything.
I just feel like it was just a weird way to plunk it on. It was just like, oh, we hadn't actually had her meet her father yet. Let's just bung it on the end because we forgot how to add it in. I don't know. It just felt a little bit weird for me.
Okay. So, in terms of things to sort of take away from this, really, in the terms of its Christmas message, it's really showing the importance of family in a broad sense.
Yeah, it's showing that family is wherever you want it to be. I feel like that's kind of what it's saying, isn't it? It's also love was mentioned a lot. Like all the three characters just wanted to be loved,
and that sense of longing for for love, for having a family and children from multiple characters, obviously. And through all this, you're kind of feeling sympathy and empathy for the characters in their story.
I think it is a case of it shows you that no matter who you are or where you come from, you can always better yourself. You can always want to have more purpose. And it shows you that anyone can do a kind gesture. You don't have to have a lot to be kind and to be thoughtful and to give. And I think it's to do with the giving. They were giving this baby the best chance of life, to say that he got abandoned initially. And I think it's the giving and the forgiveness side of things, which I saw. So you've got the giving of returning the baby back to its parents, and they didn't have to do that. They're really homeless. They spent more of their money trying to get this baby back to its owner. Well, not owner, parent, should I say? It's not a dog.
Yeah.
Then they should have done. They're really vulnerable and they're not really well off. They should be thinking of number one in that situation, and they didn't. And
they showed a lot of compassion.
And that's a selfless act to do, which is, I think, another thing which comes to this Christmas, where it's giving, it's being selfless, it's by spending time with your family, it's basically being there for one another and thinking of others. And this movie has that. It has its morals behind it, and it does have a lovely message.
Yeah.
In a weird and wonderful way of celebrating Christmas.
Yeah. So we'll go to the scoring of this now. Are
you going first? Because I don't know what mine is yet.
Okay,
so,
fair. Yeah, I've kind of, with me closing statement of like what I got out of it, really. I don't need to explain too much more about it in terms of what the message is behind it and all that to ultimately come to my scoring of this. All I'll add on is that really like the way the story played out. The characters are very engaging, interesting. The visuals really great as well. It surprised me with how violent it was.
You'll love that, won't you?
Yeah, I guess so. From the Die Hard perspective,
I think that kind of minuses a point for me. It's Christmas. I don't need to see blood.
The
only bread I need to see is on Santa's coat.
You're going to say that. But there was a bit of, there was a fair few instances of profanity, but that, it's odd, but it's making it a bit more gritty and real, I suppose, realistic. And one thing that I did learn was another word I picked up from what one of the characters said. It was just a throwaway line when they were talking about left and right. Migi, meaning right, which I've learned from watching another anime recently called Parasite, the New Maxim. that's on. I'm watching through Netflix, and because the parasite character in that is called Miggy because he's on the character's right hand. So this is another fun little thing.
If you always want to say, "Am I right?" or "right" to somebody, I don't know if they say that in Japan.
I don't know if they refer to it the same way, but
yeah, or we can only go turn right in Japan, can't go left. Is that what you're saying?
Miggy. So with all that said, I'm going to give this an 8.
Very, very highly scored for a non-Christmas movie. I wonder why that is.
Unconventional. That's why that is.
Don't think it's classed as a Christmas movie. I feel like I've been actually cheated a little bit. I feel like next year for Halloween, I'm going to put in Casper. Or do you remember Halloween Town or something like that? That's what we're going to have, because this was this for me. It was like, we could watch this any time of the year. Yeah, it had your Christmas miracles or godly miracles. I won't call them Christmas miracles. I know you're going to laugh at me because God is related to Christmas and all of that. But I think, to be honest, it was a little bit too dark for me.
Okay. I kind of get that because you're normally come contrast with what Noel was. All the Christmas lights and jolly colours and all that kind of stuff.
That's me written all over in a can.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
This was a little bit... Not to say that I don't want to know about homeless people and stuff like that and know the morals and, like, obviously it's a time for giving, and I get that. That was the main message, and I really, really appreciate that, because I actually am a believer of I love to give a gift rather than receive. I am... That is me. I love to give a gift, and I think they were doing that in their own about way. Doesn't have to be buying something, it's just doing something nice for somebody.
Yeah.
And I think the message behind it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a better message than Noel's. But it doesn't have that fluffiness that I needed.
Okay. But would you watch it again?
I would watch it again, but I'd watch it in the summer. It wouldn't really matter to me when I watched it, to be fair. It's just one of those. I feel like The Holiday is a Christmas film, but it's based around the holidays. It's something you could get away with watching.
Okay.
Not round the holidays or Christmas, I guess, is... I
suppose.
My train of thought, just like Die Hard, wouldn't stop you watching it in the summer. So I think lovely message, bit gritty, a bit dark for a Christmas film. I do thoroughly enjoy it though as a film on its own. I think it really actually marks it down for me though to say it's a Christmas film. I know it sounds daft. I have high expectations when you say Christmas film, anime, Japanese, and I'm like, my radar went boom, 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 boom. And I think it just didn't reach that level.
Okay.
I also think as well, the ending did annoy me. It was like, it felt a little bit rushed and a little bit like squish everything in. Oh, she has to meet her father now because everybody else has met their relatives. And, it was like, I feel like that might have been panned out a little bit better for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like trying to compare for me, like with Noel. I got that magic.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't have magic. It didn't have Santa, and I know no Christmas film has to have Santa, but it didn't have that magical feel. It had more like a lesson, I guess, which is not a problem, but I feel like as it's Christmas, it needs that little bit of sparkle. Everything's shiny at Christmas, all glittery.
Yeah, you had your snow, though, in this.
Did have snow, but nothing else was shiny, was it? Maybe
no, the
baby was pretty. She didn't shine.
She did glow a couple of times. There was lighting of...
Yeah, because it was mythically godly-like. So I feel like I can't make it higher than Noel.
Okay.
Is that going to hurt? I might score it lower. Maybe I'll say a 5.
I don't think...
No, I was probably going to say, I was looking at my scores, and I still think Last Christmas is a knockout. Noel, brilliantly magical. Made you laugh. Like, this was laughable, but it was like... I still feel like there was certain things where I felt a bit uncomfortable, like when he was getting beaten up as like a homeless person. It really, really hit you to your home truths, this did.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, not meaning it in a horrible way, I need to know about these things and I need to be made aware of them.
Yeah, of course.
But really around Christmas, that is more poignant, if that makes sense. Like people being at home on their own at Christmas and people not having a home or a family to share it with, and it just seems worse.
Okay.
And I think it just made me a little bit sad.
Okay. So your score is?
It's going to be a 7.
That's fine. I will accept 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a knockout. It's not that it's rubbish. It is something to watch. I think it left me feeling a little bit sad.
To a degree. Yeah. For how obviously there's just a happier ending as it plays out, but I get what you mean. It's not for everyone, but I do think it's a recommendation for something a little bit different, certainly.
If somebody wants to watch something a little
and
bit
they do
different,
and they do like anime, then yeah, by all means, 100%.
But don't go into thinking it is a fluffy anime.
Yeah, it's no Ghibli.
No, like, oh, I would love that. Like, if they did a Christmas Ghibli, I'd be all over that. I'd be like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
If that could be a thing, I would love it to bits. And I think that would mark me a 10. It'd have the cuteness. It would have the Christmas special. It would have that magic. And because Ghibli already has it, so like, just put some Santa hats on to Totoro. There we go. We've got it.
This is probably merchandise of that already, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm meaning? Whereas this, it was more raw, I think, and a bit more poignant and gritty, and just wanted a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of Christmas cheer. It just sucked it a little bit out of the Christmas cheer. So I feel like next episode, well,
yeah, that's going to be pretty more get more in the Christmas spirit anyway, and it's one of our favourites anyway. So
I can't wait. We watch this one every year.
Yeah,
every year. And you know, a fun fact. I didn't used to like this film until I met you.
No, and another fun fact: this was the first film we ever watched together, and it was from our first meeting together in person. Yeah. So it does have a special place in our hearts.
100% does. And I used to not like it. And when you messaged me saying you wanted to watch this, I was like, do we have to? Which now sounds really strange because I can't think of not watching it.
So, to be high praises sung about this if it's not too much of a spoiler, but we're still going to review it anyway. We're going to look out for some like facts, I think, to help us along with going through this review.
Because, actually, to be fair, some people might not know it is a British film, so some people might not have watched it. I don't know, around the world.
It's very, very British.
Oh, it's very British. We love a good British film. Which actually, do you know what? Another fun fact: didn't used to like British films until I met you.
Didn't like a lot of things until I met you in your film repertoire.
I don't really know about that, Paul. Might have not even liked you when I met you.
So look out for that next week. That'll be the final Christmas.
No, don't say it like that. Don't say it like that. It makes me sad.
That'll be out Christmas Eve.
Because it's not long now. It's not long at all until Christmas. So make sure you've been good. Because Santa won't bring you anything if you're not. And I don't think Paul's going to be getting anything this year. He's been very naughty.
But if you'd like to get something, is a shameless plug, for Christmas, you can visit our merch store at TeePublic.
They actually arrived.
Yeah, if you've seen the photos, they're very comfy t-shirts as well.
They are super soft, really, really nice and comfy. And the women's fit very nicely, to say the least. It actually looked like I had a nice figure, which was quite nice and surprised about. So yeah, if you do want an SP Film Viewers t-shirt, you know where to go. Paul has done really well at publicising this, and I'm just so happy that there's something with our logo on. Yes,
I'm very, very pleased to be wearing that around the house, and certainly around the house at the moment. We like to go outside and show it off as well when we get to show it off in the big.
We could go on a walk, but we'd need a coat on, wouldn't we, at the moment?
This time of year. So anyway, please also do check out our other episodes on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
Definitely go check the Noel one out and Last Christmas, because if you're wanting a little bit of Christmas cheer, go right there.
Yep. And don't forget to also follow us on the social media platforms of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And also, share this with a friend. Spread the word about us. We really appreciate the listenership.
Honestly do. And anything that you do want us to review, just any ideas for the new year, 2021, hopefully a better year than 2020. Let's have our toes and fingers and
crossed.
everything crossed. Do give us a shout, just messages, probably on Instagram, probably is our best thing.
Place to do that, yeah.
And just let us know what you would like us to review. Please be kind and don't pick something really horrible for me. Please? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's Sophie's Christmas wish, I guess.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for listening, and we'll speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time. Take care now. Not long till Christmas.
Counting down those days, eh, Soph?
Yep, definitely. Do you know you're allowed 12 mince pies? And when it comes to like the 12 days of Christmas? It's a thing.
After you just made that up?
No, you have to eat a mince pie a day to keep the doctor away.
Sounds like something that you just called it as an excuse to stuff your face.
Isn't that what Christmas is about? It's family, stuff in your face, and drinking and giving.
Yeah. Alright, bye for now.
See you all later. Enjoy your mince pies.
Bye.
Bye.